Okay, 8th grade, we're going to look at lesson 3. And your title today is Noun Complement Review. Noun complements, don't let that confuse you. You know exactly what they are. So we'll go over this very quickly. When we're talking about noun complement, we're talking about those complements, those words that come after the verb and complement the subject-verb pattern. So there are 3 of them that are nouns. Now, of course, a predicate adjective is also a complement, but that's an adjective. So 3 kinds of complements, verb complements, I think they're called verb complements, are nouns. So that's where we get the title, noun complements. So what are those 3? Well, very simply, you have direct objects, DOs, and if you have a direct object, you might have an indirect object, and finally then you can have a predicate nominative. So 3 kinds of words that are nouns or pronouns. We're thinking typically nouns, but I suppose they can, yes, they can be pronouns too, but kind of the same thing. So remember that a direct object must follow an action verb, and it has to be transitive, of course, because it's going to pass action. So you need an action verb, and then you ask yourself, who receives the action of this verb? So, and I'm getting them mixed up here, but a direct object is a noun or pronoun that follows an action verb and receives the action of the verb. So the example you have on the top of page 9, right here, by using a bucket attached to a rope, the pilot delivered medicine to the missions. So pilot, subject, delivered, verb, what was delivered? And boy, I've always done this in school and teaching. I simply ask myself, what got delivered? I don't know if that's right grammar or not, but it works. Pilot delivered, what got delivered? Medicine. Okay, so then sometimes when you have a direct object, you can have an indirect object, and that's right below, just right down here. An indirect object is a noun or pronoun that becomes between an action verb and the direct object and receives the direct object. It answers the questions to whom or for whom, to what or for what. So remember, you can't have an indirect object unless you have a direct object. And you ask yourself, to whom or to what or for whom or for what did this happen? So a wealthy looking man gave. Now, we're going to find a direct object. You ask yourself, what did he give? What got gave? Now, bad English, I know, but it works, again, at least in my mind. What got gave? Money. That's what he gave. So money is the direct object. To whom or for whom was the money given? Beggar. So beggar is the indirect object. And remember, you diagram indirect objects under the verb just like this. Okay, the last one is predicate nominative, and we're doing it completely backwards because predicate nominative was right up here on top. And so predicate nominative is a noun or pronoun that follows a linking verb. Remember, very different, not action this time, and renames the subject. So you need to have one of the linking verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, be, did, being, and then those sometimes linking, taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, see, remain. So those words, and then a word that renames the subject. Okay. I think that's stuff you've been doing a lot, so you should be able to handle it. I'm going to give you a few clues. So listen carefully, grab your pencil, and if you want some clues, get ready. Okay, you ready? Got your pencil? So in 1 through 5, you should find 2 predicate nominatives. You should find 2 direct objects and 1 indirect object. So the words that are underlined. So 2 of them should be predicate nominatives, 2 should be direct objects, 1 should be an indirect object. Okay, next part, 6 through 12. Ready? I'm going to give you some more clues. Here we go. So the predicate nominatives, 2. Direct objects, 8. 8. And then put parentheses around the indirect objects, 3. So read the directions carefully. Underline predicate nominatives, 2. Circle direct objects, 8. And parentheses around indirect objects, 3. Okay, then you're going to underline the infinitives and infinitive phrases used as nouns. I want you to go to number 15 and 16. Why do I want you to look at those? Because they're going to be on your quiz. Underline the subjects, circle the correct verb. So, something's going to be on your quiz. It's going to be this whole indefinite pronoun thing, where you're going to need to know which indefinite pronouns are singular, which are always plural, and which are sometimes singular or plural. And they're going to give you a list of them. They're going to give you 3 columns, or 3 categories, and you've got to put the right words in the right category. Now, that all has to do then with numbers 15 and 16 on page 10. Being able to choose the correct verb that fits with the indefinite pronoun. So underline the subject, circle the verb, the correct verb. So first thing you do is find the subject, and yes, it's going to be one of the indefinite pronouns. And so then remember, if it's always singular, make sure you choose a singular verb. If it's always plural, well, there are 4 of them, then of course you need a plural verb. But if it is one of those that can be one or the other, how do you figure out? Yes, you go by the prepositional phrase that follows it. So, for example, number 16. Has or have any of the persons who helped replace the roof returned to visit the widow? So, which word is the indefinite pronoun? That's the subject. Okay, it's the word Annie. Now, if you look on your list, or hopefully you have it memorized by now, Annie comes from that list in which it can be either. So, how are you going to know? Is it singular or plural? Well, you look at the prepositional phrase that follows it, of the persons. And you look at that object of preposition. Persons. Is persons singular or plural? Persons. A pretty plural, isn't it? So you need to choose a plural verb. Okay. Now I want you to go to the bottom of page 10 to right down here. And you have numbers 27 and 28 circling participles. And yes, you're going to have participial stuff on your quiz too. So I just want to look at that a little bit. Remember, a participial, again, is a verb that's being used as an adjective. And it will be either the past or present participial form of verbs. We just have that. So here we go, number 27. Judson, working for more than 14 years, finally completed the entire Bible in the Burmese language. Judson subject, do you see a word that could be a verb, but in this case is describing a noun? Okay, yes, working. And so the whole phrase is working for more than 14 years. So you should circle working and then underline working for more than 14 years and then draw an arrow back to Judson. Okay, very good. Now go to number 29 and let's just review one more time how to diagram these participles. Okay, so I told you in the last lesson, after I graded your quiz, that, could have been better. So I don't know how your test turned out. Hopefully it's going to be great. But I'm talking now about doing quiz 1 of 810. And so I do know that you're going to have to diagram some participles. And number 29 of lesson 3 on page 11 has a participial. So number 29, you have the red bud blooming along the roadside is beautiful. So you would need to diagram it. Red bud is beautiful. So we got that all on here. Maybe we'll just tilt things a little bit. So redbud is beautiful. All right, which redbud? So here you have the participle. It's that blooming one. And so remember how you do that? You put the first part of the word up here, and then you put the ing or the t or whatever it is down below. Blooming, because it is a verbal, it can have a prepositional phrase, an adverb prepositional phrase telling where. Where along road side the. Okay, so of course we have the word the here. Okay, so there you go. So again, this is the reason I wanted to point this one out was to show you again how to diagram a participle. So those verbish words, blooming, that can be a verb. If you would have redbud is blooming, blooming in that case would be a verb. But the redbud blooming is describing the redbud this time, and so it's an adjective as a participle. Okay, I think I'm going to leave you with that on page 3. So work carefully, score your work carefully, and then anything you miss, go back and see why you missed it, and until it's sunk in here, how to do it right. So thanks again, God bless you, have a good day.